Welcome to the Fantasy NASCAR podcast, brought to you by RaceForThePrize.com. Let's review Kansas with the goal of making better Darlington picks. We want to review Kansas, look at all the laps, look at all the specific events, and so we can identify speed in the top tier so we can predict who might be fast at Darlington. Also to identify speed in that value range, in that Lemons class, the LM class, the Le Mans class, the value picks, the apples-to-apple comparison. When we're looking at Gillen versus Nemechek versus Haley, who has more speed? Who maximized finishing position at Kansas and why and how? Because there were some tricks at Kansas. It wasn't necessarily speed that separated the value picks. We'll break that down so that we can make better picks at Darlington. But first, remember, racefortheprize.com. That's where you can find out more information about getting access to all this data, getting access to the lap-by-lap data and the practice lap-by-lap data so that you can identify the speed among that Lemons class. So you can figure out which hog or dominator you want to put all your picks behind. It's going to save you time using the sheets. It's going to make it a lot easier, so it's a much more enjoyable experience and you can have fun playing Fantasy NASCAR. I'm trying to help you out. Come join us like everybody else. Be a part of the team. Jump into the YouTube comments. All I ask is Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, a couple of bucks of scratch my way, and I give you access pretty quick and easy. It's a little small mom and pop operation. You Venmo, PayPal, Cash App money over to me. I give you access, no commitments. Join this little thing we got going that's turning into a big thing. It's awesome. It's great. All right, let's break down Kansas. Let's get into it. No surprise if you listened to the podcast last week, every single podcast, Larson Hamlin. I'm on DK Live, Larson Hamlin. Samsung TV Plus, Larson Hamlin. It's Larson Hamlin every week. It's Larson Hamlin at Kansas every year. It's Larson Hamlin at Darlington every year. It's like ham and cheese. It is ham and cheese, folks. Larson Hamlin, ham and cheese. I'm sorry, Larson, you've got to be the cheese in that situation, but I don't think he minds at this moment. Then we got Buescher and Keselowski showing up, which, to be honest, it was a little bit of a surprise. Now, I loved Brad Keselowski. You had to love the starting position of 30th. Of course, 30th. But there was more to it if you listen to my weekend podcast, where I broke it down several times. A, he has not been qualifying well all season, so not really that concerned about that. But B, if you look specifically at the lap-by-lap data from practice, he was not stopping and making adjustment changes every 5 minutes. You can actually see the time code in the data on the spreadsheet, and you'll see that exactly every lap they're running and when they're running it. So you can see, okay, this guy ran an out, a 10-lap run. He came into the pits. All right, this guy went for another 10-lap run. Previously, we had seen Keselowski go 3 laps, come out 5 minutes later, 3 laps, and then they were clearly not happy with the setup in those situations. But you can see, oh, they look like they feel a little bit more comfortable this week, and they did. And you can pull that up here over on this sheet and see that on our quick glance of the spreadsheet that they had around top 15 speed. Not the greatest, but clearly a step forward. So you definitely had some confidence in Keselowski. You had some confidence in Buescher as well. That was a tougher play to go to. But after rough weeks at Texas and Dover, they looked like they were moving a step forward. And they took a big step forward. So that was a bit of a surprise to see them run as well as they did. And if you were able to get behind Buescher, more power to you. I wasn't. Sorry. It was on Keselowski, but I couldn't get to Buescher. I was not a full believer. If you did and you identified that speed and knew that they could get up there, lead laps, and Buescher could have had an even better day had he not had issues on pit road. But then again, his issues on pit road were also mitigated by some subsequent cautions. So, he could have had a big day. Yeah, but the event that hurt him didn't really hurt him that much. So, yeah, he could have scored more, maybe. But all in all, Buescher had an incredible day with an average running position of 6th. Keselowski, a very solid day. Truex. We'll talk more about these guys in the top 10 here. Well, I might as well just break it down now. Truex was fast. He wasn't the fastest. One of the takeaways from this race. Now, first of all, the big takeaway that you're going to get is that when we have a big event with a big finish, all the media wants to talk about, and we love the media. No, we don't. Yeah, we do. They're doing a pretty decent job this year. Unfortunately, all you're hearing about at Kansas, other than some of the silly season stuff, which is interesting, and I appreciate those talks that are coming out, but that's mainly coming from the podcast sphere. But mainly the beat reporters that I would love to see break down the races and break down specific drivers and what they have done. They decided that now we're just going to look at the Zapruder film all week. I get it, guys. It was a close finish. Back and to the left. Back and to the left. We get it. All you gotta do is show me once. Oh, it was close between Larson and Buescher. Cool, great. Let's move on. Oh, it's Monday. Okay, all right. We'll still talk about, wow, that was the closest finish ever. Look at this video. Let's talk to this guy about this close finish. Okay. All right, it's Tuesday. We're going to break down some drivers. We're going to look at Darlington. We've got we've got a senior official now. We got a senior official. He's going to show us on the telestrator exactly how they break things down. Oh, we're still doing the Zapruder film, huh? Okay. All right, it's Wednesday. What are we doing? Oh, we've got the nephew of the executive vice director, and he's going to put it on a big screen and show us, how NASCAR makes an official call and what goes through. And so, we got it. Anyway, so that usually hogs up all the attention. There's another thing that might actually, you look up post-race interviews and you get Martin Truex Jr. I was going to win this race. If we don't get that last caution, I was going to run down at the end. That is true. Had this race gone green and we don't get that final caution, Martin Truex Jr. is going to win on long run speed. Now, that might lead people to believe that Truex had the best car. And he actually said, I had the best car. No, you didn't. You did not. You had an average running position of 7th during the race. Your driver rating was 5th. You had a top 5 car. Now, if you want to be specific, Martin Truex Jr., on the final run, where the leaders had older tires, you had a better car because you had 4 tires and were the closest to the leader. They were saving fuel on older tires. You were faster than them. So yes, you were better than them. But ceteris paribus, all things being equal, you weren't better than them. And if you read the clip of Truex saying, yeah, I had the best car. Like, no, whoa. And then you go into Darlington. Yeah, he was really good at Kansas. He said he had the best car. He's been really good at Darlington, just has bad luck. Jam him in. That's why we do this podcast. That's why we go over these things. Is to make sure that we review races and really break them down so we can make better picks moving forward. Truex, come on, man. He's good, though, and he's probably set up to be one of our top plays at Darlington, but we want to make sure that we know he wasn't the best at this track. Elliott, another good day, but again, he's not ham and cheese. He's not Hamlin and Larson. Is there like a Larson type of cheese? Kyle, I feel like Laura, there should be some French cheese that wait, maybe it will come to me. Alex Bowman had a Alex Bowman type day. I would not overreact. I'm not really going to buy in yet. We'll look at his laps here in a second. We'll show you what I did. It's really not much more different. Nemechek, Gilliland, and Haley, they end up being our value plays. Nemechek and Gilliland become optimal. If you went with Haley as opposed to one or the other, because you could, not really a problem. Again, I reiterate, building winning lineups as opposed to chasing optimal lineups. You don't always have to build the perfect lineup, the optimal lineup. Just trying to build a winning lineup will probably do you the best case in most situations. And we'll break those guys down in a second. Ryan Blaney, not the best day. Just okay. Penske, as we expected when we looked at the practice speeds throughout practice, Fords just didn't have speed. They did not. I mean, look, if we have the drivers right here sorted by driver rating rank, and look, you can see Blaney, 15th rated driver during the race, about 15th, you would say, arguably, in practice. And that's what he does. We'll look at his laps here in a second. Fords across the board, not fast, not a great day. Going to Darlington this week, Blaney, not really one of his best tracks. He has been a top 10 driver. Maybe he can hang in there with all the chaos. and get a solid finish. And if he is still affordable, he's worth considering. He's not a bad DFS pick. Obviously, scoring 8th most fantasy points, but that was really aided by his starting position of 26th. I was expecting a lot more early in the week at Kansas. Early in the week, I really loved Blaney at 8,600, but the Fords across the board unloaded slow. And then he became a tempting play when he started 26th. I didn't go there. Ultimately decided it wasn't going to work. He came away with a good day, fantasy-wise, but I believe I was right in saying, yeah, there's just nothing in this car. Busch is a pretty solid day. Also had a pretty solid day on pit road. I will record a podcast later this morning and break down pit road data, give you an idea of who are some of the drivers at Darlington that we can play that might boost a position or two based on their pit road acumen, their ability to get in and off pit road, and their crew's ability to get those tires changed. Christopher Bell, while it's a good day that he finished the race, it is a disappointing day in that he was quickly disposed of and became a non-factor, which was expected from me. I did not expect him to do anything, and he didn't do anything. This car is not trending like it was earlier this season. Maybe when we get back to the short track package, we explore Christopher Bell, but in the intermediate package, it's ham and cheese, guys. It's ham and cheese. Stenhouse, very good day like we expected. Really turned it around, as we talked about before. They found some speed at Texas. They built on it at Dover, although they weren't quite getting the finishes. I broke that down in previous videos when we looked at the actual laps they were running before events. And then he was able to put together a full race. Bo Wallace did not have speed. 2311 were disappointing overall. We'll talk about Reddick in a second. Well, some of the things he did well and did not do well, but overall 2311, after being incredible at Kansas over the last couple seasons, didn't really kind of live up to the hype. But also Bubba Wallace suffered damage during this race. So there's a lot of little intricacies that we can break down and caveats. And then still at the end of the day, we can explore all the specific things about 2311 of, oh, why weren't they able to crush the competition like they normally do here? They had speed in practice and all those things. Still, at the end of the day, we add all those factors in. It all comes back to ham and cheese. It's still the Hamlin and Larson show at the moment. And if you're like, oh, well, that's just an excuse. Look, we loved Byron for most of the season. We're not talking about him that much anymore. And obviously, his starting position and his wreck at Dover and other things have happened. But let's be honest. The elephant in the room is that Hamlin and Larson have taken over. And most of these conversations about specific, oh, why is this guy slow? Because it's just those two guys are absolutely in control. And there's Byron, who worked his way back up, but we'll break down that big event in stage 3 that really kind of shuffles things up and changes some of these plays in the fantasy lineup here in a second. Obviously, his average running position is not going to be very good because he has to spend the day working through traffic, as we have discussed before. Average running position is a decent stat to look at, but you know that it's going to be suppressed if you have a poor starting position and you have to slowly, methodically grind your way through traffic. Every lap you run in the back is a lap that counts against your average. And so it's better to look at the lap-by-lap data and see, are you actually passing and working your way forward if you're really trying to identify speed. McDowell, pretty solid day. Very good. Avoids issues, and the car has had speed. It's just been issues, right? Had a hub situation at Dover. I believe he's involved in a wreck at Texas. So when he's out there and avoiding issues, the car has speed. Kraus doing nothing. Some people were concerned about 13 fast laps. I believe he just got off cycle at some point and picked up a bunch of fast laps. Barry, the Fords didn't have speed. Gregson, although the Fords didn't have speed, Gregson's up there, hanging in there all day, not really ready to compete with anyone in the top 5, but also holding position, blocking air, packing air, doing everything he needs to do. Reddick, average running position of 13th, gets as high as 5th at one point. We do different pit strategies, And then there's this mysterious fall off at the very end of stage 3. We'll talk about that in a second. Is in 10th late in the race. But again, look, we can make all these ifs and buts about speed. At the end of the day, it is still just ham and cheese. It's Larson and Hamlin, and then everyone else has kind of fallen back quite a bit. And maybe Truex is right there knocking on the door. Elliott's right there knocking on the door. William Byron, when he has clean air and isn't at a disadvantage, is maybe trying to dice it up with him. Reddick possibly. But I'm not going to overreact because it's clear across the board that anyone outside of Larson and Hamlin, not that great and can shuffle around. Ross Chastain, I think, perfectly illustrates that. When Ross Chastain was up front, he was battling with Larson. He was battling with Hamlin. You remember that early in the race in stage 1. But then, stage 2, not the best restart. You remember that restart? They go 3 wide. Larson slides by, takes the lead. Chastain loses a handful of spots. And then at the back end of the top 10 in dirty air, Chastain's too tight and he struggles. He had a tight car, but in clean air, he was able to fight Larson. In clean air, he's able to lead laps, get by Bell. But that car, once it got into the back end of the top 10, and we're not talking about the back end of the top 20, we're talking about the back end of the top 10, he struggled for the rest of the day and just pretty much remained there. So anyone's up in clean air is going to look super fast. And well, guess what? Guess who got the clean air? Larson and Hamlin. And they stayed there. And they didn't really, because they both had pit road issues and climbed back up there. That's how fast those two cars are. They're able to drop back to the back end of the top 10 and then walk it back forward. And then we look at Heim, LaJoie, all these other guys. We'll break these guys down a little bit. Anything that kind of stands out to us, Ty Gibbs. A strange pit call at the end of this race after having a pretty solid race that I can't really wrap my head around. Gano involved in an incident, Johnson wreck, Cindric wreck, Burton wreck, Herbst just slow, Dillon just slow. Okay, we'll pull up the laps and go over some things. Again, we are looking at this stuff trying to identify who's going to have speed. And when you see 210 laps from Chris Buescher inside the top 5, yeah, they have made some significant gains. They adjusted to the setup. Having this thing maybe go off a little bit later in the day, who knows? Like, I don't know. Do I want to overreact? Maybe it's just they knew how to update for a nighttime Kansas race or late afternoon Kansas race. Either way, Buescher found speed. Keselowski never really gets to the top 10 that much, but does, again, have to work his way forward and is able to do that. All right, Larson, very good day. We don't really need to go too much deep into that. The one thing that we will discuss is where he has to bounce back just to illustrate his speed. We'll see if we can find that here. And that will be, no, it's not right there. I think it's during a pit cycle. Well, I can't find the specific lap, but he did have a slow pit stop where he loses spots. Buescher has an over-the-wall too soon situation at the beginning of stage 2 after winning stage 2, and this could have killed his race, but he benefits from these quick cautions. You know, if he has to restart lap 174 and we go green, it's very unlikely that he recovers. But we get these cautions, 4 of them in a row, and now wham bam, thank you ma'am, he's back in 4th place because of strategy. So, he had bad luck, but he also had really good luck. Just another interesting thing that gets lost in the sauce when we're talking about the Zapruder film at the end of the race all week. Little strange things that happen that affect fantasy NASCAR lineups. That if you were the crazy person that played Chris Buescher, you were a genius, and then you hated yourself, and then you were a genius again. Rather quickly, in several moments. Again, Chase Elliott, just a pretty solid day all in all. Not a lot to talk about, just grinding through, running well. Martin Truex Jr. also grinding along, running well. And you'll see he was really tracking them down at the very end, but that's because he was the closest on 4 tires and fuel. Can't quite get there. Denny Hamlin nursing it along. Restart gets eaten up. And the winners, Kyle Larson over Buescher, obviously. Christopher Bell, just a pretty solid day after pretty much giving the thing away early. One, he just gets past at the beginning. Two, he runs a couple laps longer here, maybe trying to do something, and that really actually hurts him. So he's in third, and he runs it a couple laps longer, and that causes him to actually cycle out in sixth. And that's pretty much where he is for the rest of the day. Not that that move entirely decided it. Here you have Alex Bowman around seventh, top 10, which is a pretty solid day for him. Lap 202, this is the real interesting part of the race. Really not a good pit stop. Everybody loses spots that takes 4 tires because a lot of guys stay out. A whole another group take 2 tires. I think 11 cars overall. So if you took 4 tires, you lose 11 spots automatically. That would put him 7th to 18th. But then a slow stop maybe on there a little bit. So he goes to 19th. Not too slow. Grabs some spots on the restart, but then fades. And this is strange. I don't know. He's got the 4 tires. He is racing against other drivers who should be on older tires. And he eventually is able to make some gains as those guys on 2 tires fade. And that's one of the things we're going to look at and talk about here in a second to not overreact to. But I don't know why he struggled so bad right here. And this really hurt him. Could have had an even better day. He ultimately, finishes 7th, though, saved by this caution, going from 15th to 7th. Average running position of 12.6. He did probably have around a top 10 car, I would argue, which is a step forward for Alex Bowman. I'm not quite ready to buy Bowman yet, but they are moving forward. Baby steps. They were running just outside the top 15 about a month ago. Now it's looking like they could have been a top 15 car every week. Now it's looking like maybe it's a top 10 car. Busch, very solid day. Spins at the end, but recovers on the restart. Average running position of 5th. Had fast car in practice, fast car in qualifying. That's building off the heels of a good Dover qualifying. Not necessarily a good Dover practice, but a good Dover qualifying. Again, Dover practice data can be very skewed and misleading. Ran well at Dover. Overall, the pit crew was pretty good at Dover, although they did struggle a little bit in the first couple stops. Either way, RCR trending in the right direction, but again, it's not ham and cheese. It's not Hamlin and Larson. Gragson, average running position of 9.7, no mistakes, just up there running. A very good day. Fords across the board did not have speed, but he did. Be interesting to see what happens at Darlington this week as the silly season and the rumors start to spill out because Gragson is tweeting and then ghosting one of their teammates. I do not know what's going on at Stewart-Haas, and I would expect things are only going to get worse. Looks like a bad sign for Preece. I believe it's going to be bad for all of them. I think this thing's going to hit the fan. It's going to get really messy. And Gragson does not strike me as the nice guy that's going to be able to keep everybody together. They're all a bunch of little kids. They're all a bunch of spoiled brats. I think this is going to be mean girls for the rest of the season. And I've got my popcorn ready. I truly do. And I don't think anyone is safe. Most people, Gregson's doing well. Look, Gregson's stats might be there, but he could be the problem. That tweet was not a good look. That was not what they needed right now. They got charter issues going on. They aren't really making any money. The results overall aren't there. Tony, I don't think he's happy. He's over racing Lincoln Continentals in Indiana and losing and getting doored and getting spun. He'd rather be in a drag car than deal with these kids. But they deserve it. You brought in a bunch of kids. You brought in a late model guy that we all love, but he doesn't have very much experience. He's probably not bringing in any sponsorship. You might as well just hit reset. Just blow it all up. I don't know. What do you do? Go find some other kids that have more money? Then you're in the same spot. But at the very least, like if I'm going to deal with kids like Briscoe and Gregson and Priest, and I'll even put Barry in there because he does lack big time NASCAR experience. If I'm going to deal with these greenhorns, then they better bring money to the table. Gregson does, but guess what? I don't want the prima donna on my team. I'm going to go with the humble rich kids. I hit reset. I blow it up. Briscoe's not bringing any money, and he's really not giving you the greatest results. Gone. See you later. Barry, go back to Xfinity. Have fun. You're an Xfinity lifer. Hate to say it. You're all guyer. Go down there. Have fun. See ya. Priest, you don't belong in any of this. Go back to modifieds, bro. Get out of here. You've had your opportunities. See ya. Now that I've hit reset, all right, who's got cash? Custer, all right, bring him back. He's a nice guy. He's got money. Herbst, nice guy, got money. Come on in. Anybody else in the truck series, Xfinity series, Brandon Jones, come on down. I know someone just shut the podcast off, but dude, look, Jones got that cash. Need it. Need that money. Get that money, honey. Michael McDowell has a very solid day. Don't need to review that. Brad Kozlowski, very good day. Don't need to review it. Blaney, let's break down Blaney's run right here. Let's just go to the whole dang thing. All right, works his way through. That's pretty solid. Gets up to 16th. But again, it is Ryan Blaney. And just being a little bit slower in practice shouldn't hold him back completely. Then he's going to stall out, which I'm not surprised, because there we see that the Ford did not really have that much speed, and he's not going to move much further. All right, how about the next run? We hit reset, we restart, and he's back, not quite doing it again. He hits pit road a little bit earlier, maybe trying to game the system. Still nothing there. No speed for the Fords. Go to stage 2, do the same thing. We go through the cautions. Then we get to the big event on lap 202. Because of all these back-to-back cautions, some teams took 4 tires, just a couple on 193, handful maybe. And then some who did not pit on that 193 caution, they all pit on 202. And there are 11 cars overall that stay out or have 2 tires. As you can see, Todd Gillen right here becomes the leader on lap 202. He stays out, is going to have to manage. So overall, we're going to see everyone lose 11 spots or gain basically 11 spots. And then the interesting thing is, as we go through the run, what we should expect is that regardless of what car you have, regardless of what you do, you should get 11 spots, because those guys that started up front are going to fade. And you, on fresher tires, should be able to move forward, and all things should equal out. Either way, we got Blaney running around 20th, 18th. So he'll come out in 26th. Pretty much loses those 11 spots. What does he do? He's able to make some pretty quick gains. That's very solid, very good work. He gets to 12th really quickly. Now, this is where he's going to stall out a little bit. And that makes a lot of sense. What I want to point out is I wouldn't overreact. Oh, he had a 10th place car. No, he did have a pretty good final run, but this final run is really not the best indicator of speed. If you had speed, it's going to look like, oh man, they got the setup right. No. We had a lot of cars that were on no tires or 2 tires that are simply just fading back. And through attrition, you're going to move forward because you have 4 tires. And so, oh, you're making passes. These are green flag passes. But you're not comparing apples to apples. You're comparing a 4-tire car to a 2-tire car, and the track has changed a little bit. So ultimately, he ends up finishing 12th. But this is a good illustration of, some people may look at this lap by lap data and say, wow, he went from 22nd to 10th. That's an insane gain. They found something. he's going to build on this going into Darlington. No. He lost 11 spots because 11 cars stayed out. When we ran the run, how many spots did he make right back up? 12. Basically, he got those 11 spots back. He didn't run through the field. The field came back to him because the cars in front of him had 2 tires and were managing fuel. And that's why you have to be careful when you're looking at the lap by lap data or looking at any of this and trying to figure things out. Nemechek, first guy that we are going to talk about in terms of value picks. Again, going back to our conversation always of who's going to win in the Lemons class. That's how we go about our value picks. Who's going to maximize finishing position? It ends up being Nemechek, Gilliland, and Haley in 18th. Nemechek 13th, Gilliland finishes 14th, Haley finishes 18th. Probably is better because of that last run, which shakes things up a little bit, and the caution at the end. If we really want to identify speed, to look at average running position, and in that circumstance, Gilliland had the best average running position throughout the entire race. So he was the best of that Le Mans class, the Lemons class. Next was technically Haley, who, remember, had been optimal in 3 of the last 4 at Kansas. He has also been optimal in both Darlington races last year. I know it's not a colored car that he is in anymore, but it seems apparent that his Rick Ware car is just as fast as it was. Now, I think he has a little less speed than Colleague, but he has proven to be more than capable. And then there's Nemechek. Ultimately, Nemechek ends up being a better play because of, again, remember, when you're doing your value picks at Darlington, when we're looking at value versus value, not value versus hog, we're comparing that Lemons class. We're determining who can maximize finishing position. But then we add step 2 in the flow chart and say, well, where are they starting? Because we need to maximize place differential. Clearly, Haley was at the top of that list with 35. So we love that pick. But Nemechek gets there because he's starting 29th as opposed to 25th. Cost you a little bit more, but if you had the money, you went there. And obviously, you were able to go there because you had Chris Buescher. If Chris Buescher doesn't have his amazing day or Brad Keselowski doesn't work out and we got to spend up a little bit more, we were more than likely looking at the Gill and Haley train, and I believe both were very popular as the 2 value picks. No 3 value picks like we did at Dover because we got discounts on Buescher and Keselowski. But I wouldn't mind or wouldn't be surprised to see at Darlington we end up with 3 value picks, like a Haley, a Gilliland, and Nemechek, because we don't get a discount in this double swath right here. Because I think this week we're going to have to spend up for hogs. We're going to have to spend up for place differential. We may... I don't actually think... I think we'll probably still end up with 2 value picks because we end up with 4 slightly affordable place differential chases. We'll see when salaries come out. Going back to our Kansas laps to help us get a better identification. So, Gilliland picks up all these spots. And I think, again, he perfectly illustrates what happened here in stage 3. Again, you're not hearing this conversation that much because all you're hearing about is the Zapruder film. But you can see he slides from 1st back to 7th. You say, oh, well, you said they lost about 11 positions overall. That's what I would argue. And now the reason that I would argue that is if he was in absolute the cleanest of air, saving fuel, and on no tires, what about the guys who stayed out and started 10th? So imagine you're in 10th, maybe you're on 2 tires, you're saving fuel, and you're in dirty air. You're going to fade more than 7 positions. Gilliland had the optimal situation. He loses 7. The guys starting further in the back are probably losing 15. So on average, it's probably about 11 positions that are lost and 11 positions that are given back to the guys that took 4 tires. Makes sense? So you see Josh Berry get these gains. Did not plow through the field. Again, it's simply a matter of these different strategies that needs to be broken down and understood. And so overall, you really want to zoom out and look at what drivers did in stage 1. You want to look at what drivers did in stage 2. It's not necessarily the best case to look at that final run of stage 3 if we're trying to find out who has speed. And that's one of the arguments that I made with Tyler Reddick, which is surprising though, because you would have expected Reddick to be faster. I know I'm skipping past a couple guys, but Reddick was in 5th place on lap 198 before this event occurs. He takes the tires. He starts 18th. These guys starting 18th, 19th, 20th, they're actually able to get some gains early. You worry that, oh, they're going to get bogged down in traffic. He actually is able to get them early. And so there's really no excuse. He gets up to 10th pretty quick. He makes his gains, but then he has some real situation here, laps 250 through 261, where it just goes in the wrong direction. I would love to know what happened, why they lost speed right there. Because if he's able to maintain that top 10 position, we come down pit road, he restarts in the first handful of rows, anything can happen. But it doesn't. Loses some speed here. But again, he was in 5th. So, again, not that he was great, but also you don't bury him. And then last but not least, it's the ham and cheese show. Back up here to Gillen. Overall, pretty good day. Play strategy, it really just doesn't affect him that much. He gained some spots in the end, but nothing crazy. Josh Berry, again, we just look at that weird stage 3 situation, but overall, good day. Stenhouse, overall, a good day. He takes the 4 tires, restarts 27th, and then battles his way back up. Nothing really crazy. Bubba Wallace was involved in one of those wrecks, took some damage. He fades, very much like Reddick. I don't know what setup change they made. He went a different direction. Obviously, he fades a lot because he took, 2 tires probably. So I don't want to overreact. Like, I don't think this was a setup situation. I think this was that he had damage and he faded more than anyone else because he had suffered some nose damage in the, it might have been the Johnson LaJoy wreck. You can check that out in the notes on the optimal page. Just a little trick thing you do is if you control F and look for like number 23, your hashtag 23, you'll find exactly what happens and when he had his issue. It wasn't during that one. No, it wasn't the Jimmy Johnson incident. Oh, it was, there it is. On lap 185, Hamlin washes up the track, pushes Cindric into the wall. He comes back down, collects the 23 and the 34 behind him, all 3 spin. So that there might have been a little bit of damage there for Bubba Wallace that ultimately hurt him on that final run. Look at all this information you get. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, get in on this sheet. You want all that inside information, all that edge? Couldn't make it any easier for you. You want to search the internet and try to find all this information on your own? You want to gather and aggregate it all? Or how about I just give it to you? And all you have to give to me is some money to help out with the Mickey D's. Summer's coming up, guys. Summer break is coming up for me. And that means I'm going to be spending a lot of time with my son. And we're going to go to the pool. And guess what? We're going to eat lunch. Daddy ain't cooking. You know where we're going. Big Ron's. Big Ron's. And occasionally the Big Ron's with the indoor playground. Although that place is a madhouse. The beautiful one is Chick-fil-A. Now, I don't eat fast food, but I will let my son eat fast food because I'm a crazy person, right? Oh, I won't put that in my body, but here, son, you have it. Whatever, let the kids be kids. Anyway, Chick-fil-A, they've got like this soundproof indoor glass. It's like a recording studio. So it's like you open the door and there's a breeze, and then when you shut it, there's like a suction that goes vacuum sealed. And the kids are in there like screaming and yelling. Someone could be being murdered and tears flowing, and you can't hear a peep inside the Chick-fil-A. You open the door and it's just Chucky's running around. McDonald's doesn't have that. You're in the back in that playpen at Big Ron's, and there are just the wildest kids freaking out. Grandma's on phones, mom's on phones, aunts on phones. Everyone just doesn't even care. Meanwhile, Lord of the Flies is taking place. Kids choking each other out, strangling each other, tumbling down the slides, bossing people around, stealing toys. Run, grab a chicken nugget, run back up the stairs, dip the fry in ketchup, and run back up, jump on something, jump on somebody. It's going to be madness, pure mayhem. Give me a couple bucks. Help me deal with that. You don't have to take into Big Ron, though. Yes, I do. Bubba Wallace, we explained. Justin Haley stays out, fades quickly, hangs on, though. Decent finish. Ross Chastain stays out. Bad restart. Just bad news here, huh? Not good. Kills him. So everything goes wrong for Ross Chastain. Just a bad, rough day for him. Car really was tight and struggled in dirty air. Didn't have long run speed. We talked about that in practice. And I was not, and you could see that. And I wasn't worried for a second when he was leading laps at the beginning. I knew Larson and Hamlin would get him. And I wasn't worried when Chastain was doing his typical, I ain't letting anybody block me. I'm riding Newman's son. He's actually my dad. No one knows it. I just pretend to be the son of a watermelon farmer. Truth is, Ryan Newman had me an out of wedlock affair one night in Florida. And here I am, born. Another man too hard to be passed. You look at Ross Chastain in practice, it's okay. But if you looked at his lap by lap practice, it wasn't that great. You look at how many she did in the 20 lap average, like, he didn't got it, man. There was real fall off when he went out for a second run. And we saw that, and he struggled, and then everything really hit the fan there. Finished a lot worse than where he ran. His average running position was 9.5. Just bad news there, bad situation. We talked about Reddick, Briscoe, and Heim. They just, whatever, out there. I mean, give credit to Heim. Solid day. Maybe could have done a little bit better. Last restart, he got wrecked. So could have really got away with a top 15. Almost a Eric Jones type performance of where you get a little bit more out of this car. But again, I don't want to react because of the situation here in stage 3. He's got 4 tires. He's making gains. He makes the 11-ish gains. Actually gets a little bit more. Hey, getting a little bit more out of the car. But just because you're getting a little bit more out of the car on 5 laps, I want to see you get a little more out of the car for 250 laps like Eric Jones does. Not a bad car. Not a bad little driver. Obviously, really good in the truck race. Moving forward these days. Hey, give him some credit. Again, he gets wrecked at the very end. That hurts his result. William Byron had got himself up to 10th, 9th, doing exactly what you needed, slowly, methodically working his way there. He ends up taking the 4 tires. He doesn't make the big gains. He's just buried too far in traffic, I would suppose. We'd expect everybody to get some big gains. And for whatever reason, similar to Reddick, some of these guys just in dirty air during stage 3 just couldn't make those big gains. He gets enough, gets some, gets back to 17th, and then the last restart doesn't go his way. He was the pick. He was going to work. Then we have that 4-tire strategy, and it just does not work out. If this thing runs green, he probably gets to around 15th-ish. Maybe it works. Hocevar pits early. Can't make strategy work overall. Again, if we zoom out, take the deep look. Again, I don't understand some of these guys why they had to pit. He hit pit road on 205. I don't know what that strategy call was for Spire. It obviously didn't work out because the caution comes. Tough luck. But if you zoom out, he had a pretty solid day. And if we look at average running position of 18.1, he could have been one of our better value picks. He could have been, but he wouldn't have been because he was starting too close to the front. And if we look at him again, oh, remember our strategy when we're looking at value is to look at guys in terms of that lemons class. And we pull up Hocevar and we notice that his average rank position was 18th, which is better than Nemechek. It's better than Gilliland. It's better than Haley. So we are maximizing finishing position, but his starting position of 22nd and $6,300 made it a little bit more challenging to get there. Price starting a little too close to the front. A little too close to the front. A little bit more expensive. Back to our laps. Dillon, no speed. LaJoy involved in an incident, but a typical day. 25.5 average running position. Suarez, this car is just not have it right now. Struggling every week. They had the magical finish at Texas because of the craziness, but that car did not have speed. Dover, no speed. Still kind of works. Has a decent day, but Suarez, not today. Priest, bad news all around. Zane Smith, not really that bad of a day to have an average running position of 25th. We'll take it. Not bad for that Spire car. The way they were running earlier this season just were dreadful. And then I looked at Texas when he had speed in practice and had a good race. That finally Trackhouse maybe putting some resources there. Look, that might be the story. We have seen Suarez fall off for Trackhouse. Trackhouse is pretty much renting out or loaning Zane Smith to Spire. Spire's just got that extra charter and ride. And it kind of was just out there for most of the season, embarrassing himself. Maybe at Texas, where we saw Suarez really start heading the wrong direction, Trackhouse starts throwing some money towards Spire, some resources towards Spire, and we've seen Smith pick up at Texas, pick up at Dover. And Suarez is now falling off as maybe they have distributed those resources. Chastain hasn't been that great either. That could be something to discuss moving forward. As Trackhouse divvies up the resources amongst 3 drivers rather than 2, we could see an overall depreciation in value. Hemrick, not a good day after a pretty solid but lucky day at Dover. Kraus just out there. Gibbs comes down pit road here. Had a really good day. Average running position of 8.9. Pits on lap 252. And caution comes out later. Tough call. Austin Hill got involved in one of those early wrecks. Really wasn't out there doing much before that. Logano wrecks. Herbst just slow in that Rick Ware car. Harrison Burton just slow. Also involved in a wreck. Austin Cindric involved in a wreck. Jimmy Johnson involved in a wreck. That should do it. I think we have identified enough amongst the value picks. Identified enough of your ham and cheese. Kyle Larson. Hamlin and Larson. And you know what you know. Moving forward, help you out with the Darlington picks. It's your thorough Kansas breakdown. And not just a week's worth of Zapruder film of, oh, look at the start-finish line. Let's look a little bit closer. Can we zoom in more? All right, now blow it up. Feels like those 90s movies where they had this technology where they could pull up some picture and blow it up. Like, that doesn't exist. You can't do that. I'm like, all right, make it ungranulated. And all of a sudden, like, they zoom in 1,000 million times, and then it's crystal clear. Like, that's not the way pixels work, dude. That technology doesn't exist. Oh, it does. You just don't know about it. You don't know about Operation Pixelation. It's very secret. The Nazis were onto it. We stole the science after World War II. We brought them in a secret underground tunnel, and we learned how to blow up pixelated videos. And now the only people that know about it are Hollywood producers in B-rated action movies. Blow that up. Look, we can see the scar on his face. This is our guy. So hopefully I helped you out with that breakdown. And the least you can do is like the video, share the video, recruit more people to the channel. If you are so bold, you can give tips. You can give tips after you win. A lot of people winning around here. A lot of winners. Winner chicken dinner. And They're helping me buy Mickey D dinners, sending some money my way afterwards. That's cool. Or you can just tip because you like the videos, or you can buy the package for the month of May, $25. How does that sound? You want to negotiate? I don't know. Let's do it. It's fine. Just don't negotiate with me during Mass. Seems like it's Sunday morning. I'm going to church, sitting there, and it's just buzz on my watch. I'm like, man, every time I'm trying to experience the Holy Spirit, trying to memorize all these lines I got to say. Born a Protestant, now I got to learn all these different chants and dances. And you're sending me these messages about, what about $20? Right now. Anyway, that's fine. Part of the game, part of the business. We'll negotiate. racefortheprize06@gmail.com, at racefortheprize. I am truly blessed that you guys keep coming back, that you're here at this channel. Even the people who troll me in the comments, I really appreciate the hard criticisms, people trying to come at me. It's good. It makes me stronger, makes me better, makes me more reflective of thinking about, all right, maybe they have a point here. Maybe there's something I can do differently. I got to look at this. I like it. I like the harsh criticism. It's good. But obviously, you guys know what I do for a living. A YouTube comment is nothing compared to the harsh tongue of a teenager. These kids can be mean. You just got to take it. You can't do anything about it. Oh, well, you can just kick them out of your class. No, that's them winning. They want to be kicked out of your class. You can just give them detention or suspend them. That's what they want. That's the point. It's a psychological war. That's admitting defeat also. That's also saying, like, you can't deal with your own problems. You got to send them to the principal because you're weak. You got to think about all those things. If I can deal with that, I can deal with dudes on YouTube commenting. I can deal with strangers on the internet. But it's not, but it's good. It's good. I like to hear those things. I like those challenges. You take those challenges, you become more resilient. You get stronger. Cool story, bro. I know. Anyway, blessed to have you guys, all of you guys, the lovers, the haters, the trolls. I love you guys. Trip the Light, fantastic.